Okay, so it's recording.
Okay.
I'm Gabriella. I have with me Pat Jackson, also known as Selamat Ja. Is this correct,
That's the
Pat?
name of my website.
Okay,
I
your
just go by
website,
Pat.
Pat. Okay, and the website is
Oh,
selamatja.com.
yeah. Yeah.
I've seen that name, so it's a name that means something.
It
It's
means live in joy, live in oneness, and it's Syrian.
it's Syrian.
Hmm.
Okay. Um, and then if we start having echoes, we can try with the muting again on and off.
Okay.
So the date is August 11, 2023. Pat, I think this is maybe your third time coming public. I mean, apart from your website, but like being interviewed.
Oh, no, no. I started it in 19, or I'm sorry, 2003.
2003.
Hmm.
Oh my, 20 years.
Oh, yeah.
That's excellent. Okay, so you've done an interview with Mr. Gray.
Yeah,
He has a great YouTube channel, and he's a really sweet guy.
he is.
And and then also with James Bartley, there's a part one and part two. So
James and I
I
are friends that go way back.
yeah, he has great content,
Yes, he
and
does.
his purpose is a humanitarian one. It's
Hmm.
not about attention or well, a lot of us find these topics interesting, but he's also in it for that humanitarian aspect, and so that's
Right.
great. And okay, so can we talk about the term super soldier and why you don't want to associate with that term?
Um, well, super soldier were basically constructed out of the Milo crack. And it's just what it says. They tried to genetically enhance. Oops, we go up there. Technical diffs.
Are you having trouble with your sound?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you were really cutting out. I wonder if it's the storm, Pat.
Well, it's not storming here yet.
Okay. I
So
wonder if you're being interfered with. They don't want
that's
you to,
possible.
you
It's
know,
happened before.
because I got some questions for you.
Okay.
Like, because your story has been so interesting. Okay, so you don't want to be associated with the term super soldier because,
There are
um,
a lot of them that were very successfully programmed, and you wouldn't want to mess with them. And so people like James, myself, we don't want to be associated with that in any in any.
okay, so does that mean also not doing interviews or um, maybe going to the same events as, say, someone like Tony Rodriguez or James Rink, things like that?
Yeah,
Uh,
James Rink advertises himself as a super soldier. I don't have anything to do with him.
okay. What about Tony Rodriguez? Have you heard of him?
Yeah, Tony Rodriguez. Yeah.
Yes. And do you feel that because he uses or he associates with the term super soldier, you wouldn't be able to associate with him, or I'm trying to
It's
understand.
not that. We just don't want to be known as super soldiers. And not all violets are super soldiers. We're getting a feedback here. Let me
I-
try. Let
I
me
was
try
just
muting again.
okay. And I'm just trying to mute when you speak and see if that helps too. So you can go ahead and elaborate all you want on these. And the reason why I wanted to ask you that is just wanted to understand if you're willing to have associations with other people who've come forward with certain kinds of experiences who may be very honest and good people and have fallen into using the term super soldier because I think it's kind of a term like TI, like
Yeah.
we find each other, you know. But I hate the term TI. I hate the term targeted individual.
Well,
You know,
because everybody is targeted at this point.
and terminology wise, I never called myself an individual. And then acronym wise, TI stands for Texas Instrument.
Right.
And I don't want to be a Texas Instrument. No one does.
I just don't like labels, period. I really don't.
Yeah. Well, while we've started talking about that term TI, basically a term describing civilians, not only in the United States, but many countries
Mhm.
with advanced technologies that are experiencing covert harassment to torture
Right.
by means of covert weapons,
Yeah.
which is one of the modern ways of human trafficking and crime and terrorism. So you've had experiences with this. And with
Yeah.
James Bartley, you even talked about screaming in pain.
Mhm.
And you don't have to go all into everything you've already said in the interviews because people can refer to that. In fact, they could even watch those before even listening to this because I just want to go with following up on the things you've already talked about. So, what kind of pain did you experience? And maybe just
A
elaborate on.
lot of directed energy weapon attacks. Um, the last one they did on me, I had 12 family members at my house, and all 12 of them later said to me, we thought you were going to die. I was literally in the fetal position, screaming in pain.
And how many years was this severe targeting lasting for?
For 10 years.
Is it still going on?
I still have the NATO death rays over my house, but they haven't fired on me since then.
So you're not having the ferocious electronic attacks to where it's crippling.
Right.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And but you mentioned that you were stubborn, you weren't going to give in, which
Yeah.
means you weren't going to commit suicide over it.
No.
Because I know as a targeted person, when you're being hit with weapons that you can hardly do anything to shield from, the torture can be so severe, and then it can be so ongoing, and you don't see when you're ever going to be, how can you be free when you have no way to control it? A lot of people think of suicide and have suicided over this. So, and this is one of the things we've talked about, Pat, when we first, this is why I really want to speak with you, and well, lots of reasons, but I think that the information that you have about suicide is really special and would be nice to share with the public, targeted people and other people who've thought of suicide. If you want to elaborate
Sure,
on the
sure.
things you've told me about that, including the messages from Emmanuel.
Okay. He and I had a long discussion about suicide. And what happens is you go back, but you immediately turn around, reincarnate, come back, and start all over again.
Okay.
So it's
Like
not the
Groundhog
end.
Day. It could end up like Groundhog Day. And
Yeah, yeah.
almost seems like punishment. Um,
Not really.
well,
You didn't finish the lessons you contracted to learn while you were here. And that's why you turn around and come back.
mhm. So you turn around and come back and have to be targeted again, like with weapons?
It could happen that way. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess even if you came back and maybe weren't targeted with weapons, but a person's perception is everything, because a person could grow up not knowing anything about people being targeted with weapons or other injustices,
Yeah.
and they could have some kind of emotional, mental suffering, like um, someone who's had such a heartbreak in relationships, and then they might, that kind of life could teach the lessons, but it just in a totally different way. People can suffer in so many
I've got you echoing.
we got an echo. um, okay, Emmanuel,
Mhm.
he was very firm about why, not to commit suicide. um, it's just the way you put it to me in the Facebook message that you sent to me.
I don't even remember now what I said.
Well, you were uh, to the point, and no holds barred. You said, because I was being highly targeted, I was to the point that I wanted to end my life.
Mhm.
And you basically said, yeah, everyone right now is a targeted individual. You got to put on your big girl panties,
Yeah.
and and God is whitening your robes, and that everyone right now is targeted. Yeah.
I found I just had to put my mind to they're not going to win. They're not going to win.
Hmm. Yeah. And they didn't. So that's good. So this death ray that hangs out is it's, I think those are made by Lockheed Martin, maybe.
It was originally made by NATO.
Mhm.
I learned about them from a Dutch guy who worked on them at Navy. And then he left NATO and he was targeted with.
So okay, I'm getting flown over right now. Okay, so it's basically like a non-orbiting satellite, like a
Yeah.
standstill satellite that hangs pretty low.
Well, they go low or high, but yeah,
Lower high.
they look like a star at high altitude. But
Okay.
at low altitude, you can definitely see they're a satellite.
Okay. Yeah, I think me and some friends saw something like that in Hawaii, and it was looking like a star, but every now and then it kept moving
They
a
have
little bit, a little bit.
special positioning jets on them, so they can float back and forth.
Okay. Yeah, I remember my friends trying to look at it. Is it a star? Is it not? I think I see it moving a little bit like that.
Yeah,
Um, so it's just basically on surveilling you but not hurting you.
right now it just watches me.
Okay.
If they want to
Under
put
surveillance.
themselves to tears, let them.
Now, does this type of surveillance um does it hinder contact with
No,
you? It doesn't.
not for me.
That's
No,
wonderful. That's wonderful. Okay, that's great. Okay, I have so many questions. One of the questions I wanted to ask is during the severe targeting,
mhm,
your husband was still alive,
yeah,
and he was targeted with you,
mhm.
and it debilitated him to the point of death. And I
Well,
want to say I am so sorry, Pat, for that.
it
It
was a blessing because he was terminally ill to begin with, but that just destroyed him.
Yeah, it's an
So
extreme.
he escaped. That's how I look at it. He escaped.
Yeah, because there is no death, and I'm sure he's in a wonderful place.
He's probably raising hell somewhere.
He's probably doing what?
He's probably raising hell someplace.
Oh, was he pretty cool like that?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, did you guys have fun together?
Oh yeah. 25 years.
Yeah. Um, Now, did he, when they used the V2K technologies, did he also hear it?
Yeah.
Would you both hear the same things?
No. But we could always tell it was a military programmer. Yeah.
Okay. Now, I've also heard you mention that you've heard your guides.
Mhm.
How do you know the difference between technology and guides?
I read energy signatures. If it's technology, it'll have a real flat mechanical energy to it.
Okay. Okay, yeah, because I just I don't know how many Iraqi soldiers. It's rumored that during one of the um, attacks on Iraq, they got I don't know how many Iraqi soldiers to surrender to U.S. troops
Mhm.
by using a voice of God technology, pretending to be Allah
Yeah.
and speaking in Arabic to them. And
Yep.
because these people are so religious and they will do what Allah says. Allah says
Oh,
to
yeah.
surrender.
Yeah.
So they fell for it. Um, so I don't know. I just feel like with these technologies, they can make us feel bad. They can make us hurt, but
Yeah.
they could also send brain frequencies to make us feel like some kind of spiritual experience is happening to us, and then add a voice, maybe talking all spiritual, acting to be a guide. Um,
Well,
I
and
just,
you have the regressive ET races posing as benevolent ETs.
right.
So yeah, and they manipulate humans here like some child.
Hmm. Okay, so but you've also had not only voice contact with guides, you've had actual contact. So
Yeah.
it could help too. But because I know like my son gets voices and they pretended to be me, or it has pretended to be me.
Yeah.
And he really thought it was me.
Mhm.
So
Oh yeah,
yeah,
they're
but
really
but
good at that.
you know you're not fooled because uh, how you read the spirits. So that would have to do with your psychic abilities because
Mhm.
you are psychic. And when
Yeah.
you were in the police force, you worked as a police officer, and they just used you for your psychic skills when you were needed for that. But basically, you're a police officer.
Yeah, I was a cop, but I
Mhm.
was doing the missing child, abducted child, and child trafficking, SRA, before I became a cop. It just expanded once I got into law enforcement.
You were cutting in and out a little bit. Wonder why.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of that too, and there's like a delay.
Well, if you want to repeat what you said about your police work, and then if you could then further elaborate on the Johnny,
Johnny Gosh,
Johnny Gosh.
geez, now I have to go way back. I was working the Illuminati abduction, child trafficking, SRA cases years before I was in law enforcement. But once I got into law enforcement, I'm sorry, I'm getting feedback that's screwing me up. Uh, once I got into law enforcement, then work expanded.
Okay, so before law enforcement, you were like one of those psychic people that law enforcement would go to for
In
help with
some
this?
cases, in some cases, they would come to me.
Right. Yeah, and not in the cases where they don't want anyone
Right.
psychic knowing anything because they're involved in protecting the criminals. Yeah, we know the corruption exists. So,
Oh yeah.
um, so the Johnny Gosh was before you were in the police force.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and he was never found.
He was a sex slave for George H.W. Bush. He managed to escape the program somehow, he and another guy. And he showed up at his mother's house. This was many years after he was abducted. So he managed to escape. He lives under a new identity now. I couldn't tell you where he is or anything.
Right. Okay, I'm remembering a bit more now. Right, he had showed up to his mother
Hmm.
and he had been basically being used
Yeah,
to do the work that was done to him. Like when he was abducted, he became an abductor.
yeah,
So that, yeah, that's so sad. But now he had the same or similar marking.
the
So
brand.
that means he's actually an angelic as well.
No, they
No?
brand the kids in their pedophile ring, and that's the brand he had. Mine was different.
Oh, yours was different. Okay. I don't know why I misunderstood that in the previous interviews.
It
So
was a
that's
brand,
interesting.
but it was not like his.
Right, right. So he wasn't branded an angelic.
Right. I
Okay.
was branded and angelic.
Okay. I'm just want to say something that I had wanted to talk about in relation to the targeting that you had mentioned. An ET named, I don't have the name right. I'm gonna say in a minute, but basically there was a message they were trying to teach you all along. Um, Fear does not exist unless we create it.
Yeah,
Um, it's what we make our own minds believe.
correct.
So yeah, so that's a quote from you.
Yeah,
And that a certain main ET had been trying to teach you this exact lesson. Maritra?
no, it was Naz that taught me that.
Oh, Naz. Okay, I don't know why I misunderstood Maritra. Okay, so it was Naz.
Hmm.
Mm. Now, what are angels from Absalon?
That was their home planet billions of
Absalon.
years ago.
And was this planet is it in our
Yeah,
galaxy?
yeah.
Okay.
Its sun passed close to it and got turned into a white dwarf, and it's uninhabitable to this day. So they picked up, and now they're many universes away.
Really?
Mhm.
Why so far away? Well, for them
I
it doesn't
don't
matter.
know.
For
Never
them,
asked them.
space isn't an issue. Space and time.
They're the
Cross.
same thing. They're the same thing.
And they have ships,
Yes.
even though they're giants.
Oh, they stand anywhere from 7 to 12 feet tall. Sure. The
Okay.
ships are actually made with a kind of virtual reality technology. So they can make the inside of a ship look 2 or 3 times as big as the outside of the ship.
Yeah, I've heard that kind of description
Yeah.
before. Amazing.
Oh, they're amazing.
um, so I had wanted to talk about angels because um, I'm sorry I didn't message you back because you had asked me a question on an email about why is it special to me.
Yeah.
Basically, my son and I were living in Hawaii. my son went after he's already grown up man, for a short while.
We're getting
He
an
was,
echo again.
if you want to, if you could mute maybe, just for a
I'm
minute.
trying that. It's not working.
Hmm. Uh, wow, we're getting that echo again. Woo! I wonder if that's better. Okay, I guess it kind of fixed itself. So my son is targeted heavily with voices.
Okay.
So he was requiring having music playing very loud, 24/7, with our headphones or whatever, to help him, give him something else to listen to other than all the negative stuff. And but I didn't have, we weren't on the grid. I had solar panels. So because there were some cloudy days, the sun wouldn't provide the energy we needed. So my son told me, "Mom, I really need the radio, you know? So please go outside and make the clouds go away." And my son had told me he'd been doing this in Alaska, with his native friend. They liked cloud busting, and they also were experimenting with making the clouds form into whatever they wanted the clouds to form to. So I believed it was real because I knew my son wasn't lying to me or making stuff up, you know. So I said, "Okay, how?" He said, "You'll figure it out, Mom." So I just went outside and I started doing it. I don't know what I was doing. I just figured maybe sitting in meditation position would help. And I started kind of focusing. And then the clouds just started kind of parting. But since it was my first time, I just thought, I don't know if I just did that. I'll just walk back inside. But, you know, then I kept doing it every day, every day, every day. And after you've seen some things, you don't have to question it anymore. It's definitely a real thing. We have resonance with everything.
Yep.
Everything has a frequency, and we have a frequency. And the resonance is how frequencies interact together. So we can resonate with whatever we're focusing on, even the clouds. So my son taught me that in an offhanded way there. So I started thinking about, now when I'm getting rid of all these clouds that are kind of mostly aerosol injected anyway, not even natural clouds, I wonder, well, where's it going? And then I remembered in Revelations, the book of Revelations, that at the end there's going to be trumpets, and then the angels would open the storehouses of heaven, and it would be chaotic. I said, well, you know, the angels have storehouses. Maybe that's where it's all going. And so I figured in order to get it to the storehouses, maybe I should work with the angels. And then immediately, like, I had a vision of an angel working with his storehouse. He had a big giant thing where all that chemtrail stuff goes. And he looked at me and he winked, and he was super handsome and tall, so tall that even his body didn't fit in my vision.
Yeah.
So I just feel like they are beautiful, they're tall, and they're working, they're doing stuff.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if he had wings. I don't even know if he had wings because
They
he
don't have
didn't even
wings.
fit.
No
Okay.
wings. No halos. They look like us.
Yeah. Um, so you also were told not to retaliate against your attackers.
Hmm.
Now, right now, you don't have attackers, right? I mean, you have surveillance,
Yeah,
but you're not being attacked, right?
not right now. No.
Okay. So it's been a good long time since that, things like that.
2012, end of
Good,
2012.
good. That's a hopefully will be a hopeful thing if people hear this who are targeted, because some of the targeted people, we don't know when the ending is. And then there's also people who've died before the targeting has ended for them. So, yeah, it's nice to know that it ended for you.
It ends when you get rid of fear. As soon as you are afraid of nothing, not even death, that's when it ends. Because that's what they
Oh,
use to control.
okay.
Get rid of fear, they're gone.
So you did have fear then for a while.
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay. But actually, you know, from 6 years old, was it 6 years old when you saw Adam, the
Oh,
the
I was
the
probably
veteran?
9 or so at Gettysburg.
Okay, fine. That's brave. That's a brave little girl. You even knew it was a dead person or something. You
Yeah,
said, you know, I think it's a dead person or something.
I
I
told them, see, no, I think they're dead.
I just imagine most kids would be scared.
No, I
So
wasn't scared.
yeah, so I think you've been brave for a long time. So where did the fear come from? Did it come from being MyLab, being
Mhm.
abducted? Um, they kind
Yeah,
of put it in you.
the horrible stuff they did to us. Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to elaborate on any of that or no? I mean, you don't have to. We can totally skip that and go on to other things.
Physical torture, rape, gang rape, being drugged for days on end. I was locked in a sensory deprivation chamber. Uh, I was forced to watch two dragons eat a live human man. I mean,
two,
uh,
you had to watch.
reptilians,
Okay. Eat what?
a live human man.
Hmm. And
I mean,
this
I
would
was sold
happen.
the stasis tubes, told if you quit, if you don't quit resisting, you're going to end up in one.
Hmm.
Think what the Nazis did during World War II times 10,000. That's what we went through.
And this would be out of time, out of your Earth timeline, like they take you out.
They'd physically abduct us. They'd
Right.
physically
Okay.
abduct us right out of our homes.
And then you would be like missing, or would they manipulate time so that they would put you back in time
No,
in without
if they
time having gone by?
abducted us, each of us had 4 or 5 human clones, and they just insert a clone in, and nobody would be the wiser you were missing. My friends met one of my clones and thought it was me.
Wow. Wow, Pat, that's amazing.
I mean, they would do time manipulation manipulations and like the SSPE stuff.
Mhm.
Or if they put us in the trip chair, then you were dealing with that kind of stuff and manipulation of reality, and they'd send humans
Yeah.
on their timelines to fight battles and stuff.
Right, right, Montauk. And I think soon we're having a anniversary of the experiment with the USS Eldridge, I
Mhm.
believe. I think that's coming up.
Yeah.
Um, okay. You're a fascinating person and you have so many experiences
I've had a
that,
lot.
yeah, it's curious. It's just hard to understand. Okay, like for example, when you went, you said for a month to train with the yellow bellies,
Mhm.
that so okay, so what I want to know is, do you, for example, this event, were you gone a whole month, or were you? So there was no clone of you. These were good people, so they're not the kind who are gonna be mean and.
Mhm.
Well, I guess it doesn't have to be mean if there's a clone of you taking your place for a month while you're doing something awesome. As long as they're not going to do anything bad.
No, they were great. Great.
um, as long as the clones aren't going to do anything bad while you're gone. But so you're gone for a whole month training with the yellow bellies, and when you come back, what does that mean? Were you actually gone with your body, or in a was your consciousness in a clone working for a
Um,
month?
it was a split between physically being on the ship with them and then by location.
Bilocating. It
Mhm.
was a bilo. Wow.
Half and
Wow,
half,
Pat.
I'd say.
Okay, because I can kind of understand how this is reality. Bilocation is a reality. And possibly why limit ourselves to bilocation, trilocation,
Oh
thousand
yeah,
trillion million located at the same time.
this
But
goes back
because
to
I was
ancient
laying,
times. This goes back to
okay,
ancient times.
right. And since time and space are the same thing, we can not only bilocate and multiply that, but we can also in time through time do that.
Yeah.
um, but I was laying in my bed and I was not asleep, and suddenly I could see and feel myself somewhere completely else. But it wasn't dreaming because I wasn't asleep. I was awake. And I was somewhere else and I could see it and I could feel it. And it wasn't the imagination.
Mhm.
And it was not even this planet, but it was nighttime. The reason I don't think it was this planet is because the sky was amazing. So many stars. And it was like no sky on earth that I've ever seen. So I tried to look on the online pictures of the night sky on Mars or on this planet or on that planet. I can't find anything. All the pictures seem to be in the with sunlight,
Yeah.
not night sky. But I did find the word extraterrestrial sky. It's a real term.
Mhm.
Just basically means the sky viewed from any place that isn't Earth.
Any place but Earth. Yeah.
Yeah, extraterrestrial sky. But as soon as I became wanting to become immersed in this reality I was experiencing, I got zapped. Like there was it's happened many times where if I'm starting to see something, I'm bilocating and I'm seeing something, I get zapped in the back of my neck right there.
The bad
Boom, and
guys don't
it'll.
want you doing it.
The bad guys don't.
Right. So you'll get
How do they know when I'm doing it though? How do they know when I'm bilocating? Is it because of the neural links are telling them what
they're
my brain's
telepathic.
doing?
They're telepathic.
Gosh.
There are no secrets in telepathy. You're an open
And are
book.
these so these are the reptilians?
Or any one of the regressive races.
Okay, so there's more than reptilians, whoever.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
But do you believe that there are some reptilians that are not bad?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
There's
good. I
many
also
different
believe that.
reptilian races. Many different. And it's the bad guys are a small percentage of all the reptilians.
Good. Good. So the fear left you
Hmm.
after.
I got to the point where I was so beat up. I was literally, my husband thought I was dying. And it got to the point where I told myself, the only way you're going to escape this is death. But I had no fear of death. I've had 5 NDEs. And it was when I lost that fear. And I just got to the point where I said, okay, let me die. That's when I lost fear.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. Do you want to talk about any of your near-death experiences? Because 5 times I don't even know if I had heard you mention that in any of the interviews, or,
No, I didn't.
and I'm sorry because I haven't gone thoroughly through your website, but you have got a lot of information on there.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
Well,
But
they've taught me a lot.
the what?
They've taught me a lot. The ET.
Oh, okay. Right. So the I'm sorry, Pat, that I just got um what were we talking about just before this?
The NDEs.
Fear. Fear
Oh,
and the
yeah.
NDEs.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that's what I want to ask you is, are there any NDEs or N oh, okay, NDE and OBE. It's 2 different things. Okay.
Yeah.
So NDE, are there any NDEs that you want to talk about? How old were you when for the first time you died?
20 something during an appendectomy, emergency appendectomy. I died on the table. My surgeon was my dad's best friend. And when I came back, I told him what music he'd have playing. I had told him what they were all saying, and he just freaked out. He was freaked out. He said, how? I said, I was watching you. I was up by the ceiling. I was looking down.
How long were you dead for?
I don't know if he ever told me how long. He just told me they lost me on the TV. I don't think he ever told me how long I was actually gone.
Okay.
Long
And
enough
did
to have
you
left my body.
Did you do anything other than watch what was going on? Did you go anywhere else?
Oh, yeah. I went through the whole thing all the way back. I've done that 5 times now. They keep sending me back here.
Wow. Have you seen, did you have any NDEs after your husband passed?
um, one.
Did you
I
see
was
your
dead for
husband?
8 minutes.
I'm sorry?
One where I was dead for 8 minutes.
8 minutes.
Mhm.
Did you see your husband on the other side?
No, I didn't. But then I didn't go
Interesting.
looking for him either.
Oh, what happened this last time, or yeah, this last NDE?
um, let's just say it was to fight a battle with the angelics.
With what?
The angelics
To fight a battle with
with them.
the angelic, with them, as one of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Wow. But you don't want to elaborate more. It's too
Well, on
personal.
that one.
Okay.
They had told me
Okay.
it was going to happen before it did.
Okay. Do they have they been telling you about current times now? Like, cause my friend Anthony Zender, he has had dreams just like what you speak of, where you know how you were told that you're going to have a job
Mhm.
during the false alien invasion that has to do with helping people understand what's happening
Mhm.
and helping people to calm down,
Yeah,
because some people are going to be very agitated
a
and
lot of
scared.
people are.
So Anthony has had dreams that he is doing just that. And there's others too doing the same
Yeah.
thing where they're there to. So it's very interesting. I wonder if he has worked with the Yellow Bellies or p- factions
It's
that are
possible.
related to you. Yeah.
Possible.
Yeah. Um, you meant, I don't, where did I write here? A soldier in the Sons of what army? The angelic army. It was a question, but it's
Sons of
not a full
light.
question.
Sons of light.
Sons of light.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are the sons of light?
That's the angelic army.
The what?
The angelic army for this war.
Angelic army.
Yeah. And that includes all the other benevolent ET races involved.
It includes, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. So these angelics are fighting wars way beyond here. Like there's a lot of
Oh,
wars
yeah.
out there.
Yeah. This is cosmic wide. There are
Wow.
21 other planets besides Earth that are in the same position right now. It's not just Earth.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, okay. You mentioned that our forces captured a gray craft with 5,000 human captive souls aboard.
Yeah.
Which forces and how do the Greys keep souls aboard ship?
It was a Sons of Light Army members of it that captured the ship.
Okay.
And
Excellent.
they know how to take the soul out of the body and transfer it into another body. It's called soul transfer.
Mhm.
They had them in containers on the ship that they
So,
taken.
so okay, I understand. Hmm. Um, so what does it look like to free these souls? Do they hone back to their bodies, or do they get reincarnated, recycled,
Uh,
or go to heaven or
the
whatever?
ones that were captured were taken back home. I don't know where they went from there.
What now, Pat? I
They
didn't
were taken
understand.
back to the angelic realm because they're responsible for counting of all the souls ever created, from
Oh,
reincarnation to reincarnation. So they had to bring those souls back so they could be accounted for.
oh,
But where they
okay.
went after that, I don't I don't know if they reincarnated them or what they did with them.
I understand though, but it's not like on a spiritual level we're working with souls, and because here on an earthly level, when we think of rescuing somebody, we think of rescuing someone's earthly body.
Mhm.
And if this earthly body dies, you didn't manage to rescue anything, right? But it's the soul that's important.
Yeah.
Okay. And these souls were captured
Mhm.
through the technology. So thank you for clarifying that. That's so interesting. You know, Tony Rodriguez has come out with a second book in which he talks about memories of a 10-year experience where his soul was transferred into a humanoid type body, but
Mhm.
not human like us. And it was a, I think it was a, it didn't have sex, a male or female. I don't think it was like that. So mm, it was for working. He had to do a job on, I don't know where, in the in the galaxy, in the cosmos. Um, he had to do a job that was just labor for 10 years. They wanted these consciousness transferred into these clones because they were, I guess, easier to manage or whatever. But that's basically trapped souls
Yeah.
too. So,
Yeah.
oh, and then what's also interesting about Tony Rodriguez is he is starting to wake up to the possibilities of him being, my lab abducted and then taken as a super slave rather than super soldier, Um, he also pre-birth is um like a double agent. He's
Yeah.
right, like you've experienced that you were shown that is a not a possibility, but that's actually what you are doing here on this earth, and as an experiencer of my
That
labs. And
that's what a lot of the Myolins were. We were the double agents to infiltrate the dumps.
okay, and gather reconnaissance. So where does this reconnaissance go to?
Back to the Sons of Light commanders.
Okay, okay. So maybe I need to start thinking of the angels as more than just guarding the storehouses.
Oh yeah. They
Okay.
run the show. They run the show.
Oh, Oh, because if that one angel was so quick to like give me a little glimpse of him and a little wink, showing me that he's, hey, we're working together. You sent me these. I'm putting in here the storehouse.
Yeah.
Storehouses of heaven. Um, so yeah, I can actually try to have contact for about things that also relate to the wars.
Sure.
Wow, that's
You have an
amazing.
angelic mentor. Everybody does. Talk to him. They're
Right,
telepathic.
right,
He can hear your thoughts.
right. And I'm sorry I don't have, I don't know exactly who said this, but I did listen just recently to a man who had said the war is a spiritual war. You're not, it's fought in the mind. It's not,
Yeah.
it's not a material thing.
Yeah.
So,
It's a war for the mind.
okay. Now, Naz, okay, so we know who Emmanuel is. He is God with us, the one born in Bethlehem, supposedly.
Well, he
But
wasn't
Naz,
born there, but yeah.
he wasn't.
No,
So, do you know where he was born?
Galilee.
Galilee. Okay, close. So that's close though to Bethlehem in
It
that
was a
area,
ways in
Middle
those
East.
days.
Okay, yeah, okay. um, and Naz is who is Naz?
Same guy. Short for Nazarene.
Oh, Naz is okay. So now I have to listen to all your interviews again. So whenever I hear Naz, I know it's Emmanuel. Okay, and
It's
I
just
love that.
nicknames we have for each other. I call him
Okay,
Naz. There's a private
calls you
joke in
Gracie.
the nickname stuff.
Okay, yeah, because he calls you Gracie,
Yeah.
which is a beautiful name, Gracie.
You know, and I never used to like it before he started calling me.
To be called Grace, well, Grace, I imagine short for Gracie, short for Grace, right? That's you. I mean, Grace, because the word grace is a very special word. So to be called Grace,
He liked it,
I thought,
yes.
yeah, to name a person Grace, you have, the person needs to be, a person who's going to be called Grace needs to have grace. So that's you, and that's wonderful. And that's another thing that kept running through my mind on the worst parts of torture through the weapons systems is that God's grace is sufficient for me.
That's what got me
So,
through it. That's what got me through it.
yeah. So it's like while my physical body is being killed slowly, my spiritual sense is learning slowly too.
Yep.
Yeah. Um, okay, so we talked about Nas. Your team on your website.
Yeah.
I've actually never seen those faces in the disclosure community.
They're not out
So
there.
they're not out
No.
there. None of them has had a single interview.
Beata has. Beata has. But the
Okay, and the
rest,
other ones,
no.
how did you find them?
Just when you're in the community, you make a lot of contacts.
Okay, great.
But for their own reasons, want to be on the stage.
I'm sorry?
For their own reasons, they don't want to be on the stage.
Right, okay. Yeah, and there can be a lot of reasons for that.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I do you want to talk about healing? I love the topic of healing. It's all, I think it's probably very similar to how we make clouds disperse because it's resonance. It can resonate with everything. Um, so there's a dolphin healing, and then there's your friend Rose's healing,
Mhm.
and they're beautiful things. Um, so you can talk about the healings, or you can elaborate more than what you've already talked about them if you like.
Um,
If there's anything you want to say
so with
about it.
Rose, they cured her cancer. Actually, Emmanuel did himself because she asked him, could I stay and finish my mission? And when she went to her oncologist, all the cancer had disappeared. And she had been terminally ill with cancer.
Right. Healing is real.
Oh yeah,
It's okay. And so but now she has passed. So she did
yeah.
do that mission.
She
And
finished her last finishing her mission involved me being there for me after they killed my husband.
oh, oh yeah, I remember
Once that
you
was, yeah,
mentioning
once
to
that was
James, I
done,
think,
her
that
mission was done.
you were wondering who you asked Emmanuel to send you a friend
Hmm.
because who else were you going to talk to? It's not like you can just talk to anyone about
No,
deep spiritual things,
no.
motherships and races
I
from
thought
off world.
for 20 some years, I thought she had died. I didn't think she was
Yeah.
still alive.
Yeah, and she found your number
Yeah,
when she was cleaning something out. So it's all a miracle with there are no coincidences. It was not a
no.
coincidence that she found that number when she did. It
Same
was
day, I asked him, bring me a friend. That was the
mhm.
same day she found that in the box, found my address. Yeah.
And now that she's passed away, do you have a nice someone or support system or a circle of friends that are supportive?
No, I keep myself very isolated because that way my guys can go up and down physically to my house without anybody knowing.
Not even your little surveillance friend up there? What's it called?
Oh, I don't know if they see it or not. The NATO death race doesn't matter. It's just so
There's nothing
people
they can
here
do about it.
don't know it.
Okay. Well, it's nice to know that there's nothing they can do about it. Now,
No.
I have a friend in Germany, or no, I'm sorry, Austria, who believes that her guides can't even get near her because it's too dangerous.
No. These bad guys have no power over you whatsoever unless you give it to them. They're bound by the same cosmic law of non-interference that the good guys are.
Okay. And I need to keep hearing that, saying that, believing that. Because, you're different, you know,
Oh
different.
yeah, there's a lot of
And
sympathies and all.
yeah, and it is what we believe that ultimately is it. Because right now we're at a point. where we could end up in a world where it has been already majorly depopulated. Everyone has to have a microchip, and we're all pretty much remote controlled little humans. Or a whole new world is created because everyone woke up and realized that we are the creators. And
It's
if
up to
we
us to write the ending.
if we can't wake up and realize we are the creators, well, I don't know. I'm not saying this is law of fact. Just wondering if we can't, most of us can't wake up and realize we are the creators and we are creating our world. And we keep hearing the world that wants to be created for us, then we're going to create it by even listening to that.
We're going to create by complying. You look
Mhm.
at people now,
Mhm.
they comply.
Mhm.
That's what keeps us trapped.
Amazing. How did you deal with them wanting to have masks on every face, like going
I didn't
shopping?
do
What
it.
did you do?
I
You
refuse.
didn't? And what did people do? Did anyone ever
Oh, God,
react?
yeah. They were all upset. Oh, you're not conforming. You're going to give me COVID. There is no such virus. Read the newspaper article from the CDC where they admitted in court there was no virus. I still have a copy of it.
Wow, yeah, that's amazing because I did notice when that came out that regular old flu disappeared.
Yeah, there was never any virus.
And I remember being at a doctor's office, and I said to the nurse, "So interesting how all the flu disappeared ever since this new thing came up." And she thought about it for a minute. She went like this, "Oh," and then she had to go work, so she didn't have any more time to think about it.
Yeah.
um, you've had past lives with Emmanuel.
Hmm.
Do you remember? Are there enough memories to share any of them?
Yeah. I have memories of several. Um, one of the last ones was we were both Sioux Native American. This was hundreds of years before the Sioux Nation became the Sioux Nation. He was my uncle. His brother was the chief of the tribe. I was the chief's son. I was 16, male. We were rounding up wild horses. The horse I was riding got bit by a snake. It threw me in front of all the stampeding horses, and my head and my right shoulder were badly trampled. And they worked on me until sundown, but they couldn't save me. That was one of the last ones.
That's interesting. It was Emmanuel, do you know, do you have any memories of him ever having been a woman in an incarnation?
Uh-huh.
A female?
Yeah.
Ooh. Do you want to say anything about that? That's so
I don't
interesting.
really go into that with them.
Okay, that's okay. Now, about his incarnation, where he was persecuted on a cross, um, do you believe that he survived that crucifixion and then went to live in Kashmir, like they say?
No,
that he lived and died in Kashmir? You don't.
the story about all that is such BS. He was never crucified.
He
Not
did not
according to
survive.
him. He lived
Okay.
to be 80-something years old. He was teaching under an illness, and he died in the road when he was 80
He
something.
died, he died when he was 80 something. Emmanuel?
Hmm.
Not on the cross.
Never
So
crucified.
that didn't even happen. He was never even what? Wow.
No. In fact, they just found a Turkish Bible that's like, gosh, I don't know how old, older than the Bible people know now. And it said right in there, he was never crucified. So I got verification of what he told me. Yeah. He never was crucified.
And this is from him. He's told you.
Hmm.
Okay. Wonderful. And he sure sounds like a fabulous person to encounter here on earth, by what I've heard. Now, on your website, you have a page about that, and you have a couple little YouTube videos of a woman describing him to how she met
Yeah.
him or saw him at Pick and Save.
Yeah.
But
He's
yeah,
been down
and found
here
out
a
later
number of
that was
times.
him.
He's been down here a number of times.
Wow, I believe it. That's amazing. And then he can look different every
He can
time. Like
change
he can.
his appearance in a nanosecond.
Wow. Why do you think? I know free will is used a lot as the reason why guides, angelics, Emmanuel himself can't intervene on some things. Okay, but why not intervene? Like, for example, when a child is being sacrificed or tortured by evil, why not intervene? Why not save?
Because you're interfering with the free will of the person doing it. As wrong as it is. Because once you start interfering with free will, where do you draw the line?
Once we start interfering with what did you say?
Once you start interfering with free will, where do you draw the line? What they can do and will do is take that child out of his body.
Okay. Now, did Rose remember being on the platform with you? And
Yeah.
you both, she remembered that too? That is so
Yeah.
special.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so special. So you were friends for some years before you lost each other, and lost each other for 25 years.
Yeah.
And then how long did you get to be friends again before she passed away?
Yeah, we were best friends and we picked right up where we left off.
And how many years was that before she passed away?
Oh, it was not a lot. Maybe 2 years, 3 years, somewhere in there.
Wow.
Yeah. It was fast.
So you were really involved in being her mission
Mhm.
because that was only 2 years after she asked God, if I still have my mission, if I still have a mission to do, then save my life.
Mhm.
Gave her
She
2 more
finished it
years
with
to
me,
see
and
that.
that was it.
Right, right. And I'm sure, well, I shouldn't say I'm sure, but is there still mourning that happens for like your husband, your best friend, or do you have more of a excitement about when you get there and you get to see them, you know?
It's the most exhilarating experience you could ever go through. So I'm like, Yahoo, you got to experience that. No, I don't. Mm-mm. I'm happy.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Wow, I love it. That's wonderful.
There's nothing
It's a
to
wonderful
mourn.
thing. There's
There's
nothing
nothing
to
to,
mourn,
no.
especially for them. I mean, because they're so happy they wouldn't want to come back if you
Yeah,
paid them.
yeah. Death is a fantastic experience. There's nothing negative about it at all.
Now, I've had some ideas that maybe like with all the radio frequency interfaceable bioengineering technology that has been injected into my body and all over, I kind of wondered if that would be able to, like, when I pass away, if that kind of tech would be able to then encapsulate and trap my
No,
soul.
no. The the way you escape the dark person's reincarnation file, if you've heard people who've had NDE say, I went down this real dark tunnel and there was a light, that's gonna get you trapped. When you die, and you'll be as conscious as you are right now, turn around, you'll see space behind, head that way. And you can also say, I refuse anybody to interfere with my reincarnation anytime.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. Um, because I listen to NDEs a lot. I read them, listen. I just love them. A lot of people go to and through that light and end up in such wonderful places, and they see children that they've had that passed away, or parents that have passed away, loved ones.
Yeah,
Um, Amazing experiences. So, but you say don't go to that light.
don't go down the dark tunnel to the light. No, that's the trap.
Oh,
Turn around, you'll see space behind you. That's the way you go. You'll still end up in the angelic realm rather than that trap
so so the light isn't necessarily the trap, it's the dark tunnel?
with
Because
the
I've
light at
heard the
the end.
light.
Yeah,
Okay, I've heard the
they
light
can
is the trap.
imitate. They can imitate light. They can imitate love. They can
Yeah.
make you feel that. You want
Okay.
other way.
Okay.
You'll still
Cool.
get to the angelic realm.
Okay. Um, oh, I can't believe I didn't think about this question earlier because I'm really excited to ask you this. Ships that you've been on,
Mhm.
whether it's the smaller working ships or the bigger
Command
motherships,
ships.
I'm not sure which terminologies you
Command ships.
want to
Different races call them
command,
different things.
command ship, and then the smaller
Command
ships would be called
scout ships, transport ships.
scouts.
There's different kinds.
Okay. Have you experienced looking through windows in any of these types of ships?
Yeah, they're viewing screens. They're not windows.
View? Screens are not
viewing
windows.
screens. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's interesting because I have a memory. And I it's weird because I wasn't dreaming. It's just a memory but it doesn't have a beginning or an end. It's just one piece where I'm standing in a facility type thing. I imagine I'm in a ship because I'm looking through a window and it's outer space out there. And the reason I say window is because it wasn't exactly like a window.
No, they're not. They're screens. They're holographic viewing screens.
Okay, and
You
you
can
know what I
see
was
them
viewing
from the inside of the ship, but you won't see them from the outside.
outside. Wow. Um, I was viewing a ship out in space, really close, or it seemed close, and it was being shot with some kind of weapon, and then it started like catching on fire slowly. Kind of the fire started and going around the ship, so it was going to be destroyed. But looking at the ship, I didn't feel like, yay, we've done it. And I didn't feel like, oh no, the ship. So I didn't feel bad. I didn't feel great. I didn't feel anything. I was like, I'm just observing. So it was
Okay.
very strange. But I was focused, definitely focused on that instead of, and because the memory is so short, I can't remember the rest of the surroundings. But I can remember that what I was seeing itself wasn't like seeing something through a glass.
Right.
It just
They're
looked
not
like
glass.
that. And I hardly know how to describe how it was different, but it was.
Yeah, they're not glass. They're not windows.
Would you have a psychic inkling of what I was doing on that ship and who I was
That
with?
would be impossible to answer.
Okay. 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 Yeah, and yeah, that's so interesting. So I don't know if I was having like a memory or an actual experience in
Could be
real
both.
time.
Could be both.
Wow. Okay. And now you mentioned before incarnating into this life, you knew that you were leaving
Mhm.
where you came from, and
Yeah.
you told yourself to take a good look at that beautiful sky because you knew you would not see it in a long time.
Yep.
Now, it wasn't Absalon.
No.
It wasn't on Absalon.
No.
Do you know where that was?
The angelic realm.
The one where they're at now, far, far, far away.
Mhm.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
They don't have a sun, so it's night sky.
What about the sun?
They don't have a sun.
They don't have a sun.
No.
Interesting. Um, I, this is so interesting. Okay. I had a question at the tip of my brain that led to, and I'm sorry.
They have
Um,
crystal rods that are actually like very advanced computers. And they have these crystal rods. They have beautiful gardens. And these crystal rods jut out of these gardens. And that's crazy. They're like,
it creates
they're like,
sufficient light
yeah.
Right. Okay. And are they three-dimensional like us with bodies or
At home, they're
half
just
half?
consciousness, energy, no physical body.
So they don't have to eat food, drink
No,
water, go to the bathroom.
no.
Okay. Okay.
They can
And
be
okay.
put in physical bodies and then they become like us.
Okay. Um, that's awesome. Okay. I know that I've had so many questions come to me that I wanted to ask you before we got to do this, and I wouldn't have something to write with or record with, or so would, but
Well, you can
because,
always contact me when you think of them. I'll answer.
okay, okay, wonderful. We've been on now an hour and a half, and you are so generous with your time,
Oh, I don't know.
and I'm so grateful that you answered these questions.
I'm pretty much an open book. I
Great.
try to
You've given
hide
me,
much.
you've given me, you've given me a lot of hope. You know. Oh, as to the times to come, does Emmanuel or the angelics have given you any information in regards to, say, maybe when we will have a new Earth, or that depends on us. There's nothing for them to. Okay,
That's
so
up to us.
that question is
Completely up
so
to us.
obsolete.
We
Okay,
can have it
okay.
whenever we want to make it.
Whenever, wow. Now, is there a percentage of us on Earth who have to be on the same boat where we know we create the reality, so let's create it? Or there has to be a certain percentage? What percentage is that?
51%.
51. And do you know where we're at right now?
No,
I
that
don't
I
know.
can't tell you. They know.
Because I
I don't know.
think I would think we're over 51.
I
Maybe
would have
not.
thought that too, but no. I would say we're probably around 30%.
Okay. And I want, like, those people not only have to know that they create their own reality, do they also have to know the details of the timeline and reality we're in now, of the oppression, direct energy weapons, suffering here, corruption there?
Well,
Do they even have to
that's how
know
they
that?
learn. That's how they learn. If we
Okay,
didn't have what's going on now, all this insanity, all this suffering, people would have just kept going the way they were, oblivious to everything.
right, right. Pollyanna is not going to come and save us, right? So, okay. So being aware then is good for our side, the good side.
Mhm.
But I've been the kind of person where I have let the injustices I've seen in humanity get to me and hurt me. And I think that it has to be fixed and I have to do something, and it goes in a bad direction.
You cannot
Yeah.
fix anything
So,
but yourself.
okay. Okay. So we want to be aware, but we don't want
Right,
awareness of negative situations to take over our mission and
right,
purpose in our creations.
right. Your
Okay.
mission is to do spiritual work on yourself, first of all, and then become the living example of what you want people to be.
Become the living example of what you want people to be.
And if you look at how Emmanuel teaches, that's how he teaches. He's an example of what he wants people to be.
Okay. And has he given you any tidbits on what's the best for us to learn about his life, that particular incarnation? Are there particular books in the Bible, Matthew, Mark, or Luke, or
He
are
doesn't
there
even
other
read the
books?
Bible.
He doesn't.
No, he knows it's
Okay,
fairy
okay.
tales.
So an
I
experience,
mean, there's spiritual
relationship.
lessons in it, but that's about it.
Okay. So a relationship with him is literally that. It's not reading a book. It's a relationship. It's
Mhm.
okay.
He doesn't
That's
preach
beautiful.
at us. Mm.
Okay. Any closing thoughts you want to put out there?
Not really. Just everybody do your best. Start re-engaging with each other because we're not going to alone fit through this.
Start working with each other
Hmm.
because what was the last part?
We aren't going to get through this without doing that.
Right. Okay.
We have to learn to work together the way the ETs do.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, and you've had experience with so many races that
Mhm.
that might be a whole nother show in itself.
We can do a whole other
Yeah,
show.
that would be wonderful. I'm glad
Do that.
things got worked out. Oh, well, okay, with the technology. It's still
We finally get it.
recording.
I still get echoes, so it's probably going to sound like it.
Hopefully, it's going to be okay. I made sure that anytime I couldn't hear or you got cut a little bit, that made sure that the point got across that we,
Yeah, I was
asked what,
picking up on
what.
this end. I was getting a delay, like you were on the radio.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. Okay, I'll stop recording for now. Thank you. If anyone who will be listening to this.
Okay. And we'll do another one anytime you want.